Well, it's time for us to get stuck into the Vanarama National League here with Buxton. It's going to be our first transfer window as well off the back of that Tycoon takeover. We've signed 17 players, so it's a very new look team we've got here going into the National League season. Fingers crossed we can get off to a good start away against Southend United. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 15 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM with Buxton FC. I hope you're doing well and come up day, a transfer recap of really our first full window since the Tycoon takeover last season, which of course did help us get promoted as champions from the Vanarama National League North, and then we'll take on Southend United in our first game of the season, this one away from home at Roots Hall. A pretty good team expected to finish 5th in terms of this Vanarama National League. If you're wondering where we're expected to finish, the media, they don't really rate us, albeit to be fair. We have signed some players since then. On the actual season preview, we have moved up that just a little bit. But obviously, we did play the last couple of games of the season at the end of yesterday's episode. So if you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Since then, we have spent pretty much all of that big transfer budget that we did get, around 500k. And there was, I believe, close to 12k in our wage budget. As you can see, that's pretty much entirely disappeared. So it's certainly done a lot of transfer business here, signed about 17 new players, I think popped up in one of the recent press conferences that I did do for an unveiling. So we'll start today's episode by having a look at our new team here at Buxton, our first choice 11 as well as our second 11 going in to our first game of the season. And you'll notice there's only a couple of players who were in the same spots that they were here last season. Got Jake Leake there still as the first choice left back. He's still there with that 4.5 star potential that he does have. So he keeps his spot. That's a 22-year-old that we picked up on a free from Hull City. Midfield defence is actually the only area we couldn't really improve too much, at least in terms of our first choice players. Connor Kirby, still the best balling midfielder that we could sign. To be fair, did find a couple of players that I would have quite liked to get, but they wanted to join teams like Southend United in the Southern League instead of us, which honestly doesn't make much sense. If you're wondering, Southend United, what's the Southern League? That's in New Zealand. So not too sure what's going on there. English players wanting to go to New Zealand instead of here at Buxton. Also, David Carson in defensive midfield is there instead of Will Truman. We have switched to a proper 4-2-3-1, as I think I kind of hinted at during the late stages of yesterday's episode. Do think that's going to be a bit more suitable going up a division. We were expected to struggle instead of that asymmetric formation we were using last season. And of course, are sticking with the fluid counter-attack, seeing as if we go over to the club vision, they do want us to play counter-attacking football. So we are going to stick there with the fluid counter-attack, at least at the early stages of this season. Also, the other player still there from last season is Ryan McLean at right wing, the late replacement for Jack Stobbs, who is no longer at the club. Did actually sign him with the potential departure of Ethan Fitchu, which indeed did go through, unhappy with his playing time for some reason. Not too sure why he got so grumpy at an annoying time, because certainly someone I would like to keep for us down that left side. But McLean, he will stick on the right, seeing as that right foot is very strong. That will probably suit him out there a bit better than it would on the left wing. So only 4 players keep their spots there in our first choice 11 from last season. You can argue actually 3, because David Carson, of course, was the backup to Will Truman. So it's time here to introduce all these new boys that we have signed. Now, first up, probably a player that we shouldn't have signed on this way. So a couple of these players that we picked up early before the new season did tick over. And in hindsight, I think it was a mistake, because we probably could have got someone better on a much cheaper wage. But Charlie Casper at the time did look like a really good goalkeeper we could pick up there from FC United of Manchester. We did pay a little bit of a fee for him. The only player we actually spent money on in this past window, 10k there, get him off our National North League rivals. At that stage, we can see there, did a very good job for those guys once he joined from Burnley back in 2023-24, so quite early on in the save. And he is certainly an upgrade on Ted Khan on that sweeper keeper on defence. We signed him for 10k from FC United of Manchester. Of course, found some really good form late on last season. 3k a week does mean he's our highest paid player. We probably shouldn't have given him that much, truth be told, but at the time he did look like a quite significant upgrade. I thought a good goalkeeper would be quite useful going up to the Vanarama National League. To Charlie Casper, the ghost in goal for us here. Hopefully he won't ghost us in the National League this season. Off the back of that, we then move forward to defence, and obviously 3 new names here alongside Jake Leake. First up at right back, we've signed 2 new players. So Cunningham's dropped down to the under-21s. We'll show you the under-21s at the end of this wrap-up. But quite a few players you saw here last season as backups are now in that under-21 squad, providing us extra backup if we do suffer injuries. But we signed 2 really good right backs going to the season quite late on. Alfie Pinion is the best of them. The 18-year-old formerly of Norwich City spent some time out on loan at Braintree and Crawley Town, but 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential, does look quite good as that fullback on support, can also do quite a decent job as a wingback. So if we do want to switch to that, which of course was the base role for this fluid counter-attack that we are using, that could work quite well, but he's definitely a big upgrade there on Joseph Cunningham. Very good stamina, and the rest of the attributes are also quite good, but 4.5-star potential, 3.5-star current ability. He slots in nicely as a regular starter. And behind that, we've got Max McKnight. We did sign him first and told him he'd be an important player, which probably was a mistake. But again, he does look quite good. So 2 very good options we've got there at right back for this upcoming season. He's a former Spurs man. We did pick him up on a much higher wage. But to be fair, if we didn't find him, we would have spent money on signing someone instead. So I think overall that's worked out quite well. And to be fair, in the Vanarama National League, we'll play lots of games, hopefully. Can keep both these guys quite happy with the amount of games we will play down here in this Divisions 2. Very good new right backs we've signed here for Buxton for this upcoming season. Now, centre back Teo Adelusi is the star signing we have made in this position on a free, again, formerly of Tottenham before then, MK Dons. So a bit of a defensive Dali Ali we've picked up here on a free. A wonderful head of here. His attributes are pretty good as a central defender on defend, apart from jumping reach. And to be fair, at 1.79 metres tall, that is a little bit of a concern. But apart from that, he looks like certainly our best centre back that we've picked up here for Buxton, again, on a decent wage of 1.4k a week. So these days, Deja Alamo not quite feeling a standout in terms of that big wage that he was on compared to the rest of our squad here last season. But he is our first choice centre back, is the young former Spurs product. And alongside him, we picked up on a free from Southampton, Jim Hewlett, 20 years old, again English, 3.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. He is a bit taller and can actually jump on a pretty similar wage and does look quite handy as well compared to what we had here last season. Of course, Ashley Easton, he did retire, so we did need to upgrade at least one of those first choice centre backs. So Hewlett comes in there alongside Adelusi to be our first choice in that position. Also, if we make our way down the squad here a little bit further, we've signed Harry Leeson, formerly of Bristol City. He's coming on a free £800 a week. He's one of our backups of 3-star current ability and 4-star potential. Also, he should do a pretty good job for us at right back if we need him to. And going down further, we've got Henry Curtis we picked up on a free from Ipswich Town. Not quite as much current ability or potential for the Jamaican, but is young on a cheap wage and a little bit better than someone like Tom Broadbent, who is still at the club, albeit we did actually think we might need him for a fair while of the pre-season. So we did offer him a new contract. Just the issue is then we found all those central defenders who are better than him, and now he's upset that we've tried to replace him. So hopefully can find a way to offload him in one way or another. He currently is wanted by a couple of clubs on loan, a couple too who want him permanently, but he did just sign a new contract. It's not too sure if we'll get rid of him in the early part of the season. It would be quite nice to get rid of him now on that £500 a week, but it does mean we've got lots of depth there at centre back in this first team. But currently, Tom Broadbent is proving a little bit of a downer in the squad. So I might have messed up there in terms of renewing a contract with him now going back up here to round out defence. We've got Jake Legofor still at left back. The backup to him, though, we did bring in was Al Amin Kazim. Wonderful name here for the former Morecambe man. And he has 3-star current ability and 4.5-star potential. Certainly a better backup than we had here last season. And Nathan Giblin is on quite a big wage for a squad player, but with that potential, I think that will be worth it. So there's our new look defence here at Buxton for this season. Certainly a lot deeper in qualities. Hopefully they can do a good job for us here in this 4-2-3-1. As we mentioned earlier, that defensive midfield pretty similar to what it was last season. On the bench, though, we have signed just recently a new ball wing midfielder, Zayn Mohammed. This was someone I was looking at last season as a centre-back option. As it turns out, he's one of the better options that we could sign as a backup ball wing midfielder, again on quite a big wage there for a squad player. But seeing as we were able to pick him up on a free from Petone in New Zealand, I think we'll take that. Not too bad looking there as that ball-wing midfielder on defender. Probably could do a decent job for us if we need him to as an anchor instead of that ball-wing midfielder. So hopefully he'll do a decent job, and also really useful on the bench. Can cover centre-back defensive midfield as well as right-back. So that's one of our backup midfielders that we have signed, as well as that just going down here to our reserves. Hayden Lindley is still here at the club. Just a little bit too old for the under-21s, but does still have that quite high potential, so we'll use him if we pick up injuries. To be fair, as I said, Mohammed did just come in recently, so I did think it would be a good idea to give Lindley that contract. Also, we've brought in Ben Midgley as a second choice in behind Carson, because unfortunately Will Truman isn't actually that good looking as a defensive midfielder compared to the central midfield role that we used him in last season. So we're probably going to try and let go of Will Truman at some stage of the season, albeit if we do have to switch to a 4-3-3, he could be quite a handy player to have. He did do a really good job for us here last season, a 7.09 average rating, but switching to the 4-2-3-1 instead of that 4-1-1-3-1 asymmetric system we were using does do him in just a little bit. So not too sure about the future of Will Truman here in this Buxton team, but Ben Midgley is sort of in between him and Carson as that backup defensive midfielder. Also can do a job as a ball winner, but does look a bit better there in that DM role, does the former Huddersfield Town man. So again, a little bit of extra depth was signed there in defensive midfield going into the season. Ryan McLean's still there at right wing, but a new backup for him if we go down here into our reserves. There's Olabade Aluko, who is a young Englishman we've picked up on a free from Leicester City, 3-star current ability and 5-star potential. To be fair, in game is listed as more of a right back, but certainly looks like a pretty good attacker with that 5 marking. That does kind of look a little bit Trent-like there. So we're going to play him a bit further forward on £750 a week there as the backup to Ryan McLean. Going back up here to central attacking midfield. Now, to be fair, this was an area I was pretty happy with, but Sebastian Williams did pop up and was an improvement on both Caden Kelly and Charlie Pavey. So only new signing in this position is Sebastian Williams. There's a little bit of an upgrade there on both Kelly and Pavey. In that attacking midfielder role is the former Crystal Palace man with 2.5-star current ability and 5-star potential. So we've snapped him up and hopefully he'll do a good job for us there. But as I said, we've got good backups if he does struggle. And Kelly, who is on the bench, seeing as he's quite versatile, still looks pretty good as he did last season. And Charlie Pavey has dropped down to our under-21s. And then we go to left wing, of course. No Ethan Fitzhugh does mean a bit of change in this position. Cole Kelly we signed as the new replacement. Now look, he's probably not quite as good as the man from Kits and Nevis, but 3-star current ability, 5-star potential for a 19-year-old is not too bad at all. Can also do a job in midfield if we need him to. But as that inverted winger does look quite decent with the options that were available, does the former Liverpool man. And behind him, we've still got Will Papaga here at the club, albeit he still doesn't actually have a contract. Not too sure what we'll do with him, but he is quite a handy player with all those positions that he can cover. But at the moment, we'll just see how long we can keep him there on that non-contract in our squad. The actual backup to Carl Kelly is going to be Diego Di Girolamo, who's just returned from that injury that kept him out of our late season promotion push last season. We have signed a couple of strikers who are now quite a bit better than him, so he can switch to left wing and will be our backup. Certainly needs to work on his crossing, but could be quite a handy player to keep around at the very least until that contract does expire come the end of this season. Is currently unhappy because we did sign some strikers who indeed are better than him, so we'll see how that goes. He has agreed to be a squad player for the rest of the season, so hopefully that won't be too much of an issue. But Di Girolamo goes from being our first choice striker by quite a distance to now being our backup left winger. So a bit there of a downgrade for Di Girolamo. If you're wondering, he's not better than those 3 players that we have in central attacking midfield either. So Di Girolamo, I dare say this will be his last season at the club there for the 29-year-old Italian. And then moving to striker, this was the other player that we probably could have waited on and got him for a much smaller wage than what we ended up paying the former Everton man in George Morgan, a Welsh 18-year-old who at the time did stand out because he was quite a big upgrade on Di Girolamo. So I thought, let's snap him up while we can. As it turns out, though, despite the fact that he is quite good in that advanced forward role, we actually found someone who's not much worse, and actually they're pretty similar here, him and Alice Lehen, who is on our bench, the former Spurs man, and he's only on £975 a week. So to be fair, we've got two really good young strikers now here at this Buxton team. We'll see which one does perform better, but obviously Lehane only on that regular starter contract. George Morgan, because we signed him earlier and gave him that bigger wage, we did tell him he'd be an important player. So at the moment, he can start for us going into this first game of the season, because to be fair, his pre-season form has been just a little bit better, but two really good strikers there that we did pick up on a free and still here at the club as well. We've got Manny Taylor, but we're going to try and offload him, because also in our under-21s, we did sign an extra young striker in Zach Henry, who formerly is from Crystal Palace, and does look fairly promising as well. So signed quite a few players here going to this season at Buxton. There's a quick look to at what our under-21s do look like. There's quite a few players there you will recognise from last season, as well as a bunch of Trollis as well. And also, while on the subject of the under-21s, Ollie Shield should be in there. Did just get injured. Of course, he was in the first team while Di Girolamo was coming back from injury. He's an extra left winger. We did sign on a free from Brentford on quite a low wage, 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential. A handy player. I mainly signed him because all the Brentford players have wonderful mugshots in this universe. Not too sure what's gone on there on photo day at Brentford, but they're giving it the proper come on, and it's just a brilliant face. I'll try and find another guy who was on our shortlist as a left back. And there he is on trial at Tonbridge Angels, Konstantin Ivanov. You can see those faces for another former Brentford man. They are absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, he was a bit mad, so we didn't sign him. But I was very tempted to just sign the entire Brentford youth team with those face shots that they did in that photo shoot. But those are all the new signings that we have made here at Buxton for this new season. What it does mean in terms of the actual season preview, you can see already Barnett picked up a win in the early kickoff there, 3-1 over Boreham Wood. But if we go and look at the season preview, we unexpected to finish bottom. As you saw earlier, we come into this once the new season ticked over at odds of 500 to 1 and rock bottom. With all those signings that we have made, we've jumped up to 22nd at odds of 150 to 1. So to be fair, all those new signings have certainly got us up the pecking order there in terms of our hopes to stay up. And I'd like to think with me in charge compared to some of these AI managers, we can keep these guys away from a relegation battle, which is exactly what the club would like us to do, attempt to avoid relegation. So fingers crossed that that's what we can do here in our first full season with the Australian Tycoon in charge here at Buxton. Aussie, 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 oi, 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 all that sort of stuff. Unfortunately though, we did again ask for a coaching course here. He didn't give it to us again because he's afraid that we'll then be too good for Buxton and get pinched by another club. You also see there too, off the back of the end of season review later on, we did pick up the manager of the season in the Vanarama National League North. So to be fair, we probably should stop doing the Aussie, 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 oi, 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 seeing as he's not going to give us a coaching course to get our National B licence. I'm now regretting not going ahead with that while our previous owners were in charge at Buxton when I was dilly-dallying over it during the course of last season. But hopefully we can do just enough here this season with all those new signings that we have made to keep ourselves up here in the Vanarama National League and hopefully make sure that we'll be a solid mid-table team at worst. But first up here, actually, got a bit of a tough test here in terms of our opposition. A quick look again at the season preview. We take on a team expected to finish in 9th in Southend United, and the media prediction, that was 5th. So these guys are supposed to be really good, and we've got them away from home. So this could be a bit of a difficult task for us here first up in the season, but we'll see how we get on here. If we can pick up something from this game, that would be quite encouraging. To be fair too though, our pre-season form was not too bad. That's the wrong screen, Shaun. Let's go to schedule. We took on some decent teams, in particular Mansfield Town, who are now our senior affiliates. To be fair, was hoping we'd get someone a bit bigger with the Aussie Tycoon in charge. Unfortunately, we can only get their Mansfield from up in League One, and these days they don't even have the Wayne train. He's gone on a free to Wigan after Plymouth did release him, but Mansfield Town, they are our senior affiliates. We did beat them though, 3-1 in a pre-season friendly. We did drop points in 2 games around that to Alfreton Town and Dulwich Hamlet, both teams down in the Vanarama National League North and South. So that is a bit concerning, but apart from that, our pre-season form have been quite good with the 4-2-3-1. fluid counter-attack. So fingers crossed we can carry that form over here into the start of this season, especially with no injuries to any first team players. Jake Leake has just come back from a little bit of a training injury, but apparently he should be good for this game. Obviously, Alamo just making his way back from that big injury. We'll let him come back maybe through the under-21s and build that fitness up, and then see if he might make his way on the bench instead of someone like Caden Kelly. Also, Zayn Mohammed did have an injury when we signed him from Batoni, has also just recovered from that one. So thankfully, just that injury now to our third choice left winger from Brentford with the wonderful face shot, but he wouldn't have made his way onto the bench anyway. With the return of Alamo and Caden Kelly, is just a little bit more versatile. I think we definitely here are going positive. What was I thinking there? A fluid counter-attack on attack late on last season. Not too sure there what we were doing in that Hereford game to finish things off, but definitely dropping back here to positive. But apart from that, we'll keep things as they were late last season. Hopefully do a decent job here with this Buxton team. We'll just check and see. Indeed, we've got the standard defensive line. We'll try that out because it seemed like that worked quite well instead of that low defensive line. But obviously, if things go wrong, I think that's something that we might change now. A couple of new squad numbers here to players that we have signed recently. You'll see there, I have my squad numbers quite well figured out for our starting 11, but then Pinyoon and Mohammed, they did come in quite late. So I think here 42 for Pinyoon, you can be my Brendan McCullum for the save. And then for Mohammed, let's give you 45 because you can kind of do a job at centre back as well. So a couple there of big numbers for our new signings. And let's see how our new boys get on here in our first game in charge in the Vanarama National League. To be fair, we did beat a team from this league last season in the FA Cup in Altrincham. They now, though, have gone down to the Vanarama National League North or South. To be fair, not too sure which one they did end up in. But these guys in Southend do look like they should be quite a bit better. So I'm not expecting too much here from this first game. But if we can pick up a result, that would be quite good. Our dynamics, unfortunately, have kind of fallen off with all those new signings that we have made. They're going here with a 4-3-3 force in there in midfield. Someone that we had on trial, I thought he wasn't good enough for us. That's actually quite interesting there from Southend. Maybe we've done better than the season preview makes out there with those signings that we have made. But certainly would be nice here to go off to a good start, get away from home. I'm not so sure. And to be fair too, we might get off here with a little bit of a slow start because unfortunately we've got some of the better teams on that season preview quite early on in this National League campaign. But Jake Leake there with a good early interception plays it across there to Carson, the lone Ginger Ninja in the starting lineup now. Morgan there, the highly paid former Everton man, will find Jake Leake edge of the box. We'll put that one there for Morgan, who tries to put that one top right corner. To be for a reason that Morgan could be a bit better than the other striker that we signed from Spurs. He's 1.91 metres tall. There's a decent chance there from outside the box for Southport. Thankfully, Casper the Ghost comes up there with a good save, but 1.91 metres tall compared to 1.79. So I think Morgan there might just have a little bit of a physical edge because of that. So that might be a reason that he keeps that spot there over the guy that we did bring in from Spurs. Apologies, I can't remember the name, but we did sign quite a few players. But again, here looking for Morgan at the far post, that time forcing a good save. I think that was out of the goalkeeper, or it might have come off the woodwork. I think there might have been a foul, but Pinyoon does get back on the ball. Unfortunately, looks to score there from outside the box, and it goes just high. But so far, looking a little bit threatening here early on in this game. Was just about to encourage, but there's going to be a corner here which Sanderson will take for South. And will float that one far post. Casper does punch it clear, but they give them a ton of space, and Lee Sanderson will put that one away just inside of that left-hand upright. Get caught out there from that set piece. Casper did come out to punch this one clear, but no one picked up there Sanderson on this right-hand side. Let's see how this happened. He took the corner, and no one recovered to pick him up there. So unfortunately, a bit loose defending there down our left-hand side from that set piece. We'll still encourage, because before then, we were actually looking pretty good, I felt like, as Connor Kirby picks up a yellow card. So maybe Zayn Mohammed will get a debut off the bench here going into the second half. But XG-wise, we're actually not looking too bad. And to be fair, away from home, this is probably a game that if we lose, we won't be panicking too much. There's another throw in here for Southend. We hit that one away, but they find themselves there in space through Johnson, who pounds that one into the top right corner. and all of a sudden, we're in all sorts of trouble here early in this season. We go 2-0 down. It was a good header away there from Pinyon, but again, there's no one picking up Johnson. He can thump that one into that top right corner, and it's a pretty poor start so far now for us here at Buxton off the back of, I thought, a pretty encouraging first couple of highlights. Now Southend are getting right on the front foot, and unfortunately, we go 2-0 down, so certainly going to need to strike soon here in this game. Otherwise, maybe we try some changes soon. Could actually try a 4-3-3 going to the second half, just see if that might help us out, because unfortunately, the 4-2-3-1 not working as I hoped it would. Another chance there, this time for Percival. Thankfully, that one goes just over the woodwork with the Marmore, and now David Carson actually picks up a yellow card, but a corner is about to start as we were going to try and get him to ease off tackles. They put a ball there, far post, and Nevins will head that one home. Who was that? Who hasn't even jumped? Is it Adalusi or is it Pinyon? Because it's pretty poor. Who's marking Nevins there at the far post? It's Adalusi. That jumping reach there might be telling, to be fair, Casper too. That's pretty poor from him. But this has been a dreadful first half so far. Maybe going to need to change some things here going into the second. Another free kick there. Thankfully, they put that one just over. But XG-wise, actually, apparently that first half wasn't too bad. So not too sure what to make there of this game so far. But we're in all sorts of trouble. We're 3-0 down. And quite a few of our players here are struggling on yellow cards and whatnot. So definitely going to use all three subs here going in to the second half. We'll take off the Kirby for Mohammed. Caden Kelly we might bring on here for David Carson. And I think as well, we'll try Lahane instead of George Morgan on that 6.2. So a couple of subs here. And also I'm just wondering if we maybe switch to a 4-3-3, considering that Caden Kelly can't play defensive midfield. So we might try this here going in to the second half. Kelly is a central midfielder. Williams can play as an advanced playmaker. We'll see if that might help out. But so far, it's been a pretty disappointing display, this one from us here with Buxton in our National League debut. So we'll make a couple of changes there at halftime and see if they work. Also, actually might just try using wingbacks instead of fullbacks, because that was the default there with that tactic before we tried to change things late on last season once our former did go to perp just a little bit. And also, let's maybe go to a lower defensive line. Hopefully, that might help us out here a little bit. We won't go back to dropping off more, because I definitely didn't like that with this tactic. It wasn't too good. Casper in goal, actually, a 6.0. Not too happy with that, but definitely hands on hips here. Show me something else in the second half, and let's hope that we bounce back and actually show something. Might be able to find a way back into this game, but really, it was always a tough opening fixture. Not looking like we'll pick up anything. Charlie Casper on a 5.9. Still got Truman and Hanbury as the backups, but I signed him because he looked better than Ted Can. So far, a pretty poor debut. To be fair, only the third goal I thought was quite poor from him, but apparently the game thinks he's having an absolute stinker there. There's the former FC United of Manchester man, but now we get the ball inside the box and someone goes down. To be fair, that looked like a pretty soft pen, but Hewlett, our centre-back, with a chance to score our first goal in the Vanarama National League, and he puts it away. So interesting there, one of our centre-backs is going to be taking pens for us here this season by the looks of it, but thankfully he puts that one away and going to the 4-3-3 there at half-time. A 4-3-3 versus a 4-3-3 hopefully might just get us here on the front foot. But as I say that, there is a throw in there for Southend, but thankfully we win that one. And if we can find a way now to come back and get something out of this game, we might just keep trying here to change formations when we're struggling. But as I say that, they do win the ball here to the home team. Crossley with too much pace there for our defence, and Lee Sanderson can pick up a double. We might be in trouble here this season. This is a really poor first day display from us, albeit against a good team away from home, but still, this has been pretty average. Sanderson there gets in between our two defenders. Nice ball that from Crossley, who had too much pace for our defence. They make it 4-1. Casper goes down to a 5.8. We've used up all our subs. Not much we can do about this, and now there's a free kick here, which Casper does claim quite nicely. So this time he does some good work. As I said though, not too sure if they're going to be to blame too much for those goals we've conceded so far. Thankfully, just keep the ball there from what looked like it might be a pretty average clearance. Now Kelly, he's on the ball there. Of course, Kyle Kelly on left wing, not Caden Kelly, who is in midfield. That's him on the ball now. Plays it forward to his fellow Kelly. Nice ball over the top there for Lahane, who will score a goal off the bench in debut. So maybe he should get a start over Morgan for our next game I do play, which will probably be off camera before again we take on some teams expected to be right up there this season. But so far the 4-3-3 is looking just a little bit better than the 4-2-3-1 did. We'll see how that works out for the remainder of this game. 4-2, still a half hour left, and now we've got a throw in here close to inside of the final third. If we can score another goal now, this certainly would make things interesting late on in this game. Jake Lee will try and put that one bottom right corner, but unfortunately Bottom Lee can't let that one through his hands like he should have. Just to make things a bit more interesting, he comes up with a save from set piece. Unfortunately, not much doing Kelly on the ball. This time, we don't win a corner from that tackle from Southend. We'll encourage the boys off the back of that, because certainly a bit more life to us here in the second half of this game with the 4-3-3. But now we're starting to run out of time, albeit with 15 minutes left here. We do have a free kick. Unfortunately, way too much on that one. Lahani, he can't challenge Bottom Lee for that ball. Takes his time here before dropping it at his feet. Will pump that one deep. Lucy does win that. Heads it down there for Cole Kelly. And now we take our time here trying to make our way out from that. Thankfully, that ball does just find Williams. McLean plays that one back there to Lucy, who can't jump, but so far doing a decent job there at centre back, apart from that goal that we did concede in the first half. McLean there from a tight angle. Unfortunately, no one there he could pull it back from. I think Neil Lahane did get blocked by a defender, and we are still 4-2 down. We'll go attacking here late on in this game, and unfortunately it's here Southend who have a highlight late on lead. Can't beat Crossley to that ball, getting cooked here a bit late on in this game. And Lucy heads it away, but unfortunately it finds Johnson before one of his teammates, and Hopper will head that one home that time. I think Casper now, that rating is kind of affecting his decision making. Charlie Casper not having a good debut for us here. That time definitely might have been at fault now for that goal as well as that late one in the first half, because he kind of comes out to get that one but doesn't get there, and Hewlett gets out-jumped by Hopper. They make it 5-2, and boy we're leaky defensively, but thankfully showing a bit more in attack here in the second half. But really that 3-0 deficit at half-time, that was the difference maker. So I think maybe going to the next game, we might go with a 4-3-3, just see if maybe that's the way forward for the season. If it is, then Will Truman might actually find a way back into this team and start that next game. But a ball over the top there for Lahani, who's looking for a double, pulls it back there for McLean. Caden Kelly, who runs onto that one, but unfortunately skies that one well over the crossbar. It's still 5-2, and now Peck here will put this far post to Bondo. Thankfully, that one clips the crossbar. I did think that Casper might have got a touch on that one. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but Casper now takes that goal kick. He gives it straight there, though, to a Southend player, but thankfully are just able to get that ball back. Williams, he will now find McLean. What can Ryan do here down our right-hand side? To be fair, so far, been pretty poor in this game. Williams, he knocks it back there to Edeluse. Now McLean will cut inside, but a bit loose there on the ball, and it does mean that Southend can get that one back, but thankfully Edeluse can get on the end of that deep ball. Far too much on that one, and we try and get here back on the attack. McLean plays it to Williams, but loose touch from him does mean that Southend get it back. They pump this one deep. Hopper wins it in the air and heads it down to Crossley, who's giving us nightmares there down that right-hand side. Back in there for Hopper, who puts it in the bottom left corner, and we're 6-2 down. This could be a very difficult season if we keep going like this, because now we're actually losing the second half as well as the first half. So maybe the 4-3-3 not too good. Casper there with an effort, but that time Lucy doesn't jump. Yeah, that forward jumping reach, I'm not too sure if that was such a good idea now in hindsight, but stats-wise, we haven't been that bad. Not too sure what to make there of that first game in the Vanarama National League, apart from the fact that we got absolutely spanked there 6-2. So I suppose scoreline-wise, very, very disappointing. They had 8 shots on target. They scored 6 of them, so I can kind of see now why Charlie Casper got a 5.9. But apart from that, attacking-wise, not too bad. Obviously, the XG bumped up by that penalty, which Hewlett thankfully did put away, which I thought might give us a bit of a resurgence there in the second half with that 4-3-3. But as it turned out, that definitely wasn't the case. We lose the second half there 3-2 and got absolutely pumped there by Southend in our first game of this new season. I think here we need to be kind on the guys. Just tell them, would have been nice to win. It's not too bad. Carson switched off a bit, but apart from that, most guys have taken that pretty well. But yeah, might be some change going into our second game of the season, which I'll get for off camera before we take on a few other big teams in the next episode come the start of next week. But that was not a good start, unfortunately. We're right down the bottom early. Oh dear, that's definitely not what we wanted with all. I thought those good signings we made going into this season here at Buxton. We get beaten by 4 goals, 6-2 there by Southend United, and already bottom of the league. So that's not too good a start for us here at Buxton off the back of a decent hype up I gave there to our new signings that we did make, because I thought they were quite good. Our odds shortening there from 500 to 1 to 150 to 1. But that was really poor. What's the inbox like now? We could actually be in danger here if this keeps up of getting sacked, because the board want us to at least attempt to avoid relegation. That won't be happening if that's the sort of result we get dished out too often. So that's not a good start for us here at Buxton. A 6-2, which is kind of coming out of nowhere based on our pre-season form. Maybe we need to check out here what our assistant manager recommends we do with our other tactics. We'll try here and see what maybe he does recommend we do. But the board do want us to play counter-attacking football. So I suppose a direct counter-attack might be something that we could try apparently with a 4-3-3. So maybe that's something we need to consider. Also, maybe we should drop back to being cautious instead of positive. That might be something which could help out going into our next game. But to be the assistant manager, he thought we should be positive in that previous game. It just didn't work out very well. And also, I think the other tactic that he wanted us to do there was a wing play. We've kind of already got one of those low, but we'll just see what he says here with our shape. He wants a 5-2-3. I really don't like 5-man formation, so I think we might just stick there the 4-3-3 we used late on last season. But really, I think the 4-2-3-1 is still best suited to the team we've got here at Buxton. That might have just been a tough game we had first one of the season. Hopefully can pick up some points when we come back for next episode at the start of next week. But hopefully you guys did enjoy that one. We ran through the transfers we made, which I thought were good up until we played that game and got smashed by Southend. But if you enjoyed that one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. As I said, I'll probably play a few games off camera before we come back at the start of next week. Aldershot Town, they're 23rd, so hopefully at home we can pick up something from that game and gain a bit more confidence and actually see what might work here with this Buxton team this season. Then, off the back of that, we take on Fleet United. They started the season off well, but hopefully it's a team we could take something off, albeit off the back of that first performance maybe. That's a bit of a wishful thing, but I think we'll come back at the start of next week and play those games in late August against Bradford City, expected to go straight back up there to EFL League 2, and then we take on Morecambe away from home. This is a team I really want to beat, not because I don't like the prawns, because prawns are yummy, but they've got Joey Barton in charge, and he's an absolute nonce. Hopefully we can beat them second up in the next episode, but really find some form off the back of that dreadful start there, that 6-2 loss to Southend United. So until next time, we've got some points on the board. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.